Coming up on Golf Central, Bernhard Langer has done it again and again and again. Langer giving up his lead in the Charles Schwab Cup race on Saturday, only to get it back Sunday and win his third straight. The LPGA Tour will decide its season-long race to the CME Globe this week in Naples. Lydia Ko and Ariya Jutanugarn still going head-to-head for Player of the Year honors. And Rory McIlroy heads to Dubai, looking to win another title at the DP World Tour Championship. Plus, down under, Jordan Spieth makes his first start since the Ryder Cup. It's all next on Golf Central.
Golf Central. Brought to you by Titleist.
Bernhard Langer was tied in the Charles Schwab Cup points with Colin Montgomery entering the final round. Langer took the lead in the race with the birdie on the par 3 11th hole. He was the only player to birdie the 11th in the final round. His birdie on 18 would seal the deal. Langer capturing his third consecutive Charles Schwab Cup and his fourth overall. This just into Golf Channel, some breaking news. Bernhard Langer is good at golf. 14, 15, and 16. Look at that. That is a lot of firsts. And he is first once again, winning a third consecutive Charles Schwab Cup. After pulling off the task, he spoke with our Dave Marr.
It was very important to me, Dave, especially with the season I've had. I had a huge lead in the money list, but with the playoff events coming into effect, all that meant very little when it came to this tournament. So I really had to buckle down and try to chase down Paul, but he was too good. He was just phenomenal first round, and he's a great front runner. And no matter what I did, I couldn't catch him. So well done, Paul. Congrats. Again, it's been maybe my most consistent year ever. It's just been phenomenal. And to do that at age 59 gives a lot of you guys hope that you can still get better even at our age.
Looking back at the Charles Schwab Cup champions, and of course, new format this year. Jay Haas, two-time winner, 06 and 08. Lauren Roberts, two-time winner, 07 and 09. Tom Lehman, yep, you guessed it, two-time winner back-to-back in 2011, 2012. Kenny Perry got into the act in 2013. And then there is the aforementioned Bernhard Langer. 3 straight, 14, 15, and of course yesterday, throw back the win in 2010 for good measure. With that, we welcome you to Golf Central. Wow, what a weekend it was. Ryan Burr along with Tripp Eisenhower, our insider Tim Rosefort. And you look at this guy, he is machine-like. You throw in what happened this year, Tripp. You throw in a knee injury. You throw in that after the first 2 legs of the Charles Schwab Cup playoffs, they took away a 1,000,000-point lead. A million. And made it 200, still able to win.
Yeah, but that's what they're doing now with these playoff events. Of course, they do the same thing if you had a huge lead in the FedEx Cup. So I look at this, and Bernhard Langer, you know, we showed all those firsts that Bernhard Langer is. There's one thing that he was second in, and that was putting. So, I mean, it's not like the anchor band slowed him down at all. Many thought that would happen. But if we look at his career, I want to talk about one thing that stands out to me over the course of his career on the PGA Tour. And that's, we always think of Bernhard Langer as a good iron player. He was pretty solid. But you can see over the course of his career, he averaged about 64.7% greens in regulation per round. Let's hit the Champions Tour. We go out and you up that by nearly 10 percentage points. You don't win 2 Masters if you're not a good iron player. But I think the difference for Mr. Langer was the fact that on the PGA Tour Champions, what do you have? You've got a little bit shorter golf courses. That helps him. He never had immense distance off the tee, although he was accurate off the tee. The other thing is, too, with his shallow attack angle, he attacks very shallow. You look at his strike, it is beautiful in a lot of different ways, but I love how shallow the angle of attack. That leads to great iron control and great flight control. Less rough on the PGA Tour Champions. So I think that's partly why he struggled a little bit on the regular tour as far as why his stats weren't as good and consistent in greens in regulation. Look, when you hit the greens as many times as he does anyway, and you throw him on the green 2 more times per round in a 3-round PGA Tour Champions event, Well, let's do the math. 3 times 2, that's 6 more opportunities he has at putting for birdie. Then you throw in the putting proficiency, the fact that he was first in 2015 and he was second in 2016 after the anchor ban. I don't think he's done winning. I think he will be the guy that goes down winning into his mid-60s the way he's going right now.
Well, he was supposed to be one of those guys, Tripp, that really suffered from the anchor ban. And you think about on the PGA Tour, the guys that are grabbing their wrists now, they're going to the claw, they're trying everything under the sun. Langer, boom, moves away from the chest. Exact same statistically as last year. Rosie, what about you? Are you ready to call Langer the greatest PGA Tour Champions player of all time?
You can't do that by the numbers. If you look at it with Hale Irwin, with his 45 career wins on the Champions Tour, Langer's got 29. Hard to think of him winning 16 times in his 60s and maybe into his 70s if it would take that long. Talking to Hale today, this morning from his home in Colorado, he made the point that, like him, Langer's probably playing better against the players that he played against all his entire careers. He thinks, though, that the main difference is that Langer's played more, that he's dug his heels in, and that's the main difference. But you look at it, and really, he hasn't. Irwin played 457 Champions Tour events. Langer's played 187 to this point in time, and you compare where they are, where Langer is going into his 60s now. He was 4-2-2 this year, 4 wins, 2 seconds, 2 runner-ups. That was Irwin. When Langer this year at 59 goes 4-4-3. So the potential's there. You talk to a guy like Fred Funk who played against both of them. He feels like Langer can go ahead and do it, that their records are actually comparable because Irwin played a 42 tournament schedule. Langer's only playing a 34 tournament schedule. Who knows? I mean, where this is going to play out. Langer broke down a little bit, as Tom Kite pointed out this year. But over the long haul, you think Langer's going to be healthy enough to at least make it a run. Yeah,
it's interesting. You keep expecting, maybe waiting for a 50-year-old to pop on and that's hitting it 40 yards past everyone and take that tour by storm. Hasn't happened. It is still the Bernhardt-Langer show. All right, let's get to what happened in the Charles Schwab Cup. I talked about it. The second event was in Richmond. When that was over, he had nearly 1 million points taken away to create the suspense of the Tour Championship, the Charles Schwab Cup Championship. The lead was 200. All 5 players in the top 5 had a chance to win the cup if they won the golf tournament. That didn't happen, obviously, as Guidos won. Was it a success? Did it make sense for what they did?
Well, it did, because even as with Paul Guidos winning, I mean, Bernhard-Langer had to play well, and that's what I like about it. You know, when the PGA Tour first started these playoff events, they needed to learn how to get the system right. They've jiggled the system right around on the FedEx Cup, and they've got it pretty much right there. They learned from that, and they were able to apply it right out of the gate for the first time, Tim, and I do think it was a success. I like the opportunity for everybody that makes it to that championship to have a chance to win mathematically, and if you're in that top 5, well, you control everything for yourself.
Didn't get the big bang maybe that hopefully we were looking for, but at the same time there was drama. There were those 2 events, the one in Virginia and the one in California, had some meaning instead of just tournaments at the end of the year, leading into the Schwab Cup tournament. So as time goes on, you're going to have closer finishes, and then you come out of it feeling more moved after what you just saw, or maybe what we didn't see this past weekend. But at the end of it, it wasn't unfair for Langer, because he played well enough, even missing that tournament with the knee surgery, to ultimately win, which is what he deserved to do after this year that he had.
We had some drama early. Monty came up and took that lead, and then when Monty and Langer were tied, Rosie, after Saturday, you're starting to say, well, how great would this 3-hole aggregate playoff be? I
was starting to think that way too, but it just didn't quite grab me the way I was hoping. But at the same time, it had a lot more drama, and that's exactly what they're looking for, some volatility and some drama in the last event of the year.
No doubt about that. We are expecting more of the same this week as the LPGA Tour wraps up their season with the race to the CME Globe this week in Naples. And what a race it has been all season long between Lydia Ko and Ariya Jutanugarn. The two really completely dominated different parts of the season. And this week, the battle for the CME Globe comes to an end. You start with Lydia Ko, and she beats Carlota Ciganda in the 4th playoff hole to win in 2014. And then Tripp, she's not done. So She receives the $1 million bonus there, then comes back the following year and hoists the trophy again.
Yeah, to say she likes Tiburon, that'd be a bit of an understatement, Ryan.
Well, That's interesting because you bring up where they play the golf course, and you would think, in theory, that gives Ko a pretty big edge because she's done it here before.
Well, it does indeed, and the fact that it handcuffs some of the longer players. They have to play back to the areas where Ko plays from, so that certainly puts another ace in her hand.
When you look at where they're at right now, though, is Jatanya today the better player?
I do, because she's been more consistent. You know, Lydia is Lydia. She's you look at her stats. She's a shot worse tee to green this year. She's a shot better on the green. So she makes up for it in different ways. She's still won a major. She's still done remarkable times when she contends, but she's been a little bit inconsistent. I think she's trying to change her swing back more to what it was before. That's good news for Ko. When you do that, you're going to have weeks where you're consistent and weeks where you're inconsistent, and that's what we're seeing right now. But again, no surprise at all to see Area right there with a chance to win the breakout year that we finally knew was coming from Area, where once she got over the hump of winning, she came close and ended up kind of choking those tournaments away. We knew the potential was there. I think the momentum's on her side, and I think she can overcome the fact that she's going to have to play from the same area as Lydia is. She's just played a little bit more consistently late in the season.
Do you sense, Rosie, that this is a real rivalry? Not that they dislike each other, but just the fact that it is two people at the absolute top of their game, better than everyone else, with MB kind of moving away. It's two horses that it seemed like they're in a photo finish coming.
They're good with each other, and their competition is good for the LPGA Tour. I think with in Ko's case, it's more not Jatanya Garnett as it is herself, really being able to close out and win a golf tournament. Talking to Sean Hogan today, her day-to-day coach over at Ledbetter's here in Orlando. Good rest coming in from Japan. They kind of started working midweek last week, kept it simple, shot making, basic stuff like that. She admitted, though, the thing she said to Hogan going off the golf course today is that, well, the thing is, it's finally here. I mean, she's faced some anxiety going into it. She wants to go for 3 straight, obviously. A lot of good karma down there. And we will answer the caddy question. She's got Gary Matthews on the bag. He's worked for Sergio Garcia, worked for Camilo Villegas. It's just a 2-year contract. Good caddy. No promises, though, as it relates to, well, maybe if they win the CME Globe. You got a better shot at it anyway, but no guarantees going forward to next year.
Trip, one quick follow on that. We saw it with Jordan Spieth, where everything is going so good. It's all smiles, everything's great, and then it can kind of turn on a dime. And what happened in the Masters led to some outbursts on the golf course, and maybe not the way Jordan would have liked it to play out. With Lydia, it's been all smiles, and then at the end of this season, a little turbulence. Concerns?
Yes, there are. But again, I think long-term perspective, I think this is the right move for her if she's indeed trying to round her golf swing out a little bit more, get it back more on plane. Look, she's not the longest hitter. She needs to be accurate off the tee, and that's why she suffered. Her like I said, tee to green, statistically, she's a shot worse. But the good news, well, she's way better on the green. So if she can get to the greens a little bit more consistent this week, look out for Lydia Ko, as always.
Now, as always, after 32 events played around the world, a champion is set to be crowned. Can Lydia Ko win the season-long race for the CME Globe for a 3rd consecutive time? Our coverage of the CME Group Tour Championship begins Thursday. That's 4:30 in the East. Still to come, Rory McIlroy, Henrik Stenson have combined to win the last 4 titles on the European Tour. Find out how they will figure in this year's race. Plus, former world number 1s Jordan Spieth and Adam Scott returned to competitive play in Australia this week. 2 years ago, Spieth jump-started his great run with a win down under. Can it happen again?
Golf Central is brought to you by Titleist, the #1 ball at the OHL Classic at Mayakoba. Titleist, the #1 ball in golf. Arcos, advanced GPS and distance tracking for every shot.